Hello and welcome to the National Real Estate Post. Once again, today's show is going to be really interesting because I have Michael Seminari with us, and he is from the Stratmore Group. And if you're not familiar with the Stratmore Group, you're going to become very familiar with them very soon. You probably are familiar with them and you don't even know it, but we're going to make that a little more clear as we go through this. But before we get started, to remind you that Carl White and the Marketing Animals have their Loan Officer Freedom podcast. Carl does this once a week. It's fantastic information. It's absolutely free. If you're a loan originator, I guarantee you, if you just listen to one of his podcasts, you're going to walk away from that going, I've got something I can implement today that's probably going to help me. So I would suggest that you just do it. It's free. It's easy to connect with him. There's a banner you see on your screen right here. It's over on your left. You might have scrolled down a little bit, or look just straight down below on the website. You'll see his banner there. So there's a link around here on Facebook where you can access Carl. And there's going to be another link, and that's going to be able to access Michael Seminari here over at Stratmore Group as well. And so before I get started, Michael, first of all, thanks for being here. Appreciate you showing up today.
Pleasure.
And so if you're not familiar with Stratmore, I'll give you just a quick snapshot here, guys. Stratmore Group, what they do is they're all about the data business, and they collect a lot of data through lots of surveys of customers, through a lot of clients that they have. And by compiling this very deep, rich data, it enables mortgage companies to provide a better customer experience. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. Michael is the director of the Mortgage Stat division, if you will, or group or side of Stratmore. So Michael, what is Mortgage Stat?
So Mortgage Stat is it's a borrower satisfaction management program, which in a nutshell means that we go pretty deep with our surveying, and then we take that survey data, and anyone can ask questions on a survey, but it's what you do with the data afterwards. And so we take that and analyze it and find places within the process to improve. We look at all parts of the process. We measure underwriters, closers, processors, loan officers, the whole company. And so we really give people feedback that they can take and put into action. So that, and we also give them context. So we let them see how they're performing versus peers, whether it be national average or best in class. And so our clients can really do something with the information that they're getting back from the clients.
That's awesome. And just so you guys know, if you're not familiar, Stratmore is cited all the time, like on many mortgage media outlets. Stratmore data is always referenced a lot because their surveys are so they're just so what's a better, lack of a better word, deep, right? They go really deep with their surveys, and they do a lot of them. You guys are doing, you said upwards of 100,000 surveys a year, and that's over a client base of about 40 different clients. Is that the case?
Yeah, we just passed, I think, 110,000 surveys this year, which was pretty deep. Yeah. Yeah,
compared to J.D. Powers, which is doing basically not even half of that. So really, really rich, focused data here. Now, one of the things that Michael has here, because I don't want to spend too much time here, I just want to give you guys something you can walk away with and go, that's as good information, I can make use of this. One of the things that Michael does on the website, if you go to the website, we're going to link you to it right down below. There's a link. You'll see the Stratmore Group banner there, and a link straight to this. Is Michael provides a monthly tip, and that monthly tip is based on this rich data that the Stratmore Group is collecting off these customers. This month's tip, Michael, is this: is perfection in the loan process too much to ask? Is it too much to ask, Michael?
Well, there's so many things if you really dig into it that could go wrong in the loan process, whether it's that someone was asked for the same document multiple times, or someone didn't receive a call prior to closing to go over the numbers, or the closing started late, or it wasn't, there's some unexpected fee at the end. There's just so much that can break down that it's natural to think, how are we ever going to get every single thing right every time? But when we measure, and like we said, over 100,000 surveys this year already, about 40% of respondents did not have any critical issue with any of those items. And there's about 15 different kind of critical issues that we look at. So on the one hand, 60% of loans do fail in one of those critical areas, but 40% don't. That's 2 out of 5, and what we see on the NPS scale, which is the likelihood to recommend, if you can get that 2 out of 5 to even a 3 out of 5 that are happening perfectly all the way through, that makes a huge difference in the amount of referrals that you can get. You're talking NPS score differences of about 80 to 100 points. So it's a pretty big deal.
Tell us what NPS means for our viewers, just so that they're clear on that. They might not be familiar with the term.
Sure. NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, and it's been used in the past 10, 15 years pretty heavily in measuring satisfaction. It basically answers the question, how likely are you to recommend on a scale of 1 to 10? And the people who are the 9s and 10s, very likely to recommend. They're called promoters. The ones 1 through 6 are more likely to badmouth you, and the ones in the middle probably won't say anything at all. So the Net Promoter Score takes the really good ones minus the really bad ones on a 100-point scale and gives you your NPS score. So you have like Apple and Southwest Airlines and companies like that who are really customer-centric, score up in the 80s, and other maybe airlines like Spirit Airline, or companies that people have a lot of issues with, can be close to 0 or even negative.
Wow. So on your latest tip, what would you say is the takeaway from your latest tip that you wrote for us as originators to focus on or to look more critically at?
Sure. Well, there's a couple. I mean, one is that you aren't able to fix what you don't know is wrong. So to be able to measure things a little bit more than, did you like us and would you recommend us? That is more like a thermometer taking a temperature, and it's not really a diagnosis or a prescription for what to do. So to be able to ask more and deeper questions, don't be afraid to do that as a lender, because people want to give feedback. And once you know that feedback, you have to know what to do with it. So being able to measure down to that level of detail and then take action on it, to kind of roll up your sleeves and see where the issues are. It might be something as simple as, calling prior to closing to go over numbers. That may be the processor's job and not the LO's job, but the loan officer might decide to make a call to the customer, one extra call throughout the loan process to make sure that step was done. And that could be the difference between a referral and someone bad-mouthing the company.
Would you say that because I talked about this on, I guess it would be yesterday's show now, is that, a report from you guys or a survey from you guys was stating that direct loan officer interaction, one of the biggest factors in raising that number. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it is. I mean, when you look at just how people get their updates, you have the NPS is at 2 when the borrower has to call for updates. And when even if it's an email or text or a combination of a couple things like that, at least if it's proactive, you get up into the 60s, 70s. But then what a lot of customers will say, because we ask customers, how would you prefer to be updated about your loan? And a lot of them say email, and yet when they get the call, it's a much higher score. So they don't even know they want to call, and they do. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So even though they say email, text, that's how I'd like you to communicate with me. But what you're finding is that even if they believe that to be the case, when they actually get that personal call, that elevates things considerably.
It does.
That's fascinating. So there you go. And I think that's the takeaway. And this goes well with yesterday's show, is that, because I'm sure there's some feedback going on from yesterday's show on, I don't necessarily believe that or whatever, or they say email or whatever. Yeah, they say this, but according to your in-depth, rich surveys of these individuals, right? And there's a lot of them, a lot of surveys here, right? You're saying that even though they say that personal phone call from the loan officer on a status update is significantly increasing this number.
Absolutely. And that goes across the entire loan process. The more personal touch you get, the better. So something like, did the loan officer attend the closing? Not all people even know that that's a thing that they want, but my tip the prior month was about first-time home buyers, and only a third of loan officers attend first-time home buyer closings. But the ones that do attend, the 33% that do attend get a 20-point higher Net Promoter Score across the board. So there's a significant difference with that personal touch.
It's interesting, because what I'm hearing is and based on a podcast that I listened to the other day, which was Todd Duncan and Dave Savage, what I'm hearing is that, yeah, the whole technology thing is there. We may need to make use of it and work with it as best we can. But at the end of the day, people still like it when you call them, even if you leave them a voicemail. I'm betting, because I have that experience too. If somebody calls me, leaves me a voicemail, just let me know. That's personal enough for me sometimes, But at the end of the day, you're saying that personal interaction, that personal status update, that showing up to the closing, that sort of thing, still is a big difference. That makes a big difference to people.
Right. I think technology is an unstoppable force, and it's coming, and it's continuing to come. But what people maybe fail to understand is that the technology should really be in the background, and it should be almost not noticeable. The personal interaction is still and will always be very, very important.
I'm just going to leave it at that. That was a great statement. That was awesome. So I'm going to leave it at that. Mike Seminari, thanks for being here on the show with the Stratmore Group. Guys, get familiar with Stratmore. In fact, any company owners, whatever, you can connect with Stratmore, and they can do this data and these surveys for you as a company. So you've got your own company figured out, not just going off of the bulk data of all the other companies. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and link you guys down below. There's a Stratmore logo down below that's going to link you to this month's tip by Michael. And once you're there, you're on the website. You can find your way around to get more information on Stratmore, get to work with them personally. Or there's a link around here on Facebook where you can access that. But I'd also like your comments down below. And don't forget, guys, share this. You can click the little Facebook button down below. Share it, start a conversation, subscribe for in the upper right-hand corner. And with that, I'll say goodbye. But thank you so much, Michael, for being here on the show. Can we have you back from time to time?
Absolutely.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you guys later here at the National Real Estate Post.